You are listening to the e-flux podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the e-flux podcast. This episode focuses on the Wooster Group, a company of artists originating in 1975 that have produced a wide range of theater, dance, film, and media. You can view the exhibition mentioned in this episode, the Wooster Group, at Carriage Trade Gallery in New York through February 16th, 2020. The production mentioned, a pink chair in place of a fake antique, is at NYU Skirball Center for Performing Arts through February 2nd, 2020.
Hi, my name is Kate Valk, and I'm a member of the Wooster Group, and I'm here at e-flux, and we're recording a podcast with Peter Scott, who is the gallerist at Carriage Trade, and Elizabeth LeCompte, who is the director of the Wooster Group. Peter?
She's very good.
Do you need to know more about us?
Well, what about him talking about how he came to make the Carriage Trade?
That's a
gallery,
really
the
good
show.
question,
Yeah.
Liz.
Yeah.
So I'm a longtime fan of the Wooster Group. And I've seen, I guess, beginning with Route 1 and 9, I guess I've seen pretty much everything. And have felt that the way that you use video and collage, which is, I know you have an ambivalence about that term, and I share your ambivalence.
I used to. No. I used to. I'm being more, I'm getting more simple-minded. You know, I'm going back to that thing about, looking at art like finger painting.
Right.
You know, I used to hate finger painting
Right.
when I was like 10 or 11. I thought it was, silly. And collage always meant, you put a bunch of things and you use that, that paste that you make with flour
Yeah,
and water.
right,
And you stick a bunch of things together.
right.
So,
Yeah, collage got a bad rep, and it sounded more like a crafts.
Yes.
Someone might do as a hobby.
yeah. And when
So-
nobody knew Schwitters,
Yeah.
they always, if you said collage, it was always that you were a craft person, not an artist.
So a new word came in to replace collage
I can't wait.
that we used in many grant applications called commingle. In this piece, we commingle
Yeah.
the text, a paraphrase of St. Anthony
Right.
with the structure of the screenplay of The Magician.
And is it in order to subvert?
No,
Yes, that's the other thing. Constantly.
in order to
Or juxtapose? You
subvert the word collage. That's
All right, of course, right.
commingle
And to
came in.
juxtapose those two words.
Right.
And then bricolage
Oh, that
came
was
in,
another one, yeah.
but they were more like fine art terms and two-dimensional art.
But it's
But
hard to...
then, postmodern, when postmodern came in, we had to avoid that. It was like so difficult in theater circles.
Because...
Because theater people aren't visual.
So it's too art
Yeah,
oriented.
it's
or
too art
architecture.
oriented
Dance.
and architecture.
Dance did very well with the term
Right.
postmodern, but
Right.
not theater,
Not theater, no.
because people, they like a story,
Right.
And they like a writer.
a writer.
They like a,
Yeah.
yeah. If there's not one writer, then it really isn't theater.
Well,
But
and
then another word came in, which sort of overtook everything, like an invasive species, and that is devised theater.
oh God.
And I
I've never
think
heard
that got
one.
invented in England,
Uh-huh.
which meant you didn't necessarily feature the writer, the playwright.
Right.
You might use a text by a writer, but you might mix it with a documentary or your own biography.
Oh, well, that,
In other words, like we had been doing for
Right.
20 or 30
right. That
years.
fits.
Commingling, yeah. So devised theater, then that started getting taught in academia, and then we got put into that department.
Well, what about performance? I mean, in a way, what you're doing
was,
is more performance than theater. No,
well, the problem with performance was always it was linked with the visual arts.
right.
So whenever we would say that because we had to apply in one category or another, and I always applied in theater because it's very hard to cross over once you've done a theater piece to the art world. So we had to apply for it for our grants with that, and performance was so academic at the time.
Well, also
What year are we talking about?
Late 70s,
80s, late 70s, 80s.
80s. Yeah.
But also performance meant, coming from the art world, it usually meant something you did once. And so it didn't include the
Right.
discipline we have of a long development period and further refinement through the life of a performance.
Well,
So we do have the discipline of theater people,
Right.
even though what we do, theater people might want to say, oh, it's like performance art or it's like art
well,
experience.
it's a hybrid in a way.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Often I'm disappointed by performance art because it lacks the discipline of what you're doing, and in a way, the artist becomes the focus of the attention, which is in a way, I mean, Cantor comes out of painting also, so there's that lineage of art and into performance, I guess, into theater, but in performance, for me, there's often too much emphasis on the individual's plight, or there's still this focus on the artist and the kind of romantic idea of the lone artist.
And maybe even the artist's body,
yes, exactly.
the body of the artist as the site of the
Right.
event.
Right. So it's still in a way connected to the object in a
Mhm.
sense. And what I've always appreciated about what you're doing is the rigor that's brought to performance, and the fact that you've drawn on the theater tradition and created a hybrid of all those things.
Right. And beyond that, Liz, as the artist on the outside, is making a system so big and complex that all of the performers might not even know how we are in it or
Right.
what's depending on us until we see a videotape of it from the outside.
But this gets into the idea of you as kind of being in Liz's head, right?
I don't think that's true. I
But
think
that's
there's-
right from a pink chair.
Right.
Like inside his head.
Well, because I was thinking
Yes,
of the
yeah. But I'm
relationship
not
with
like him.
Cantor.
No.
I'm not like Cantor.
Okay, how are you different?
I identify with every person on this stage. So I'm all those people, which is not it's not people against each other or talking. It's one mind. The
Mhm.
whole space is one mind
right.
for me. So it's like when my one of my I guess my only psychiatrist happened to sit next to me in that
Oh, that's interesting.
in one of one of
Oh my
the pink
God.
chair things. Yeah, I was sitting there and there's one extra chair and suddenly he sat down. I hadn't seen him in a long time.
And he was taking notes. Or,
No, he wasn't my psychiatrist then. He
Oh, okay.
had been my psychiatrist like a couple of years back or
Right.
5 or 6 years back, maybe more. I can't remember. But at the end of it, he said to me, well, who did you identify in that? And I had to say, everyone.
Right.
But usually, I think in the theater, there's one, you come to it with one idea about there is a major motif, there's a major thing idea that's working through one of the characters, and the other characters come up against it. But for
Mhm.
me, it's just the world.
And the structure that you create.
Yeah.
For the characters.
Right. And it's never, even the lighting, I don't tend to pick out one persona. I try to always it's always a conversation with some other part of the stage.
Mhm.
The stage is never isolated. It's like a painting.
Right.
I couldn't have something on the stage where I just blacked out one part and said, oh, ignore this.
So there's a composition, in other words. And I guess whenever one thing changes in the composition, then something else has to change. Or,
Everything. Yes.
So that's kind of difficult to wrangle.
Cats, I say all the time, and I don't mean the musical.
Cats.
And what brought you to Cantor?
Not me. I didn't bring you to Cantor, but
There was a gesture towards.
yeah. Liz just pointed at me, but it was not my idea. No, we were asked by the Adam Mickiewicz Institute, Polish Cultural Institute, to do. It was the centennial of his birth, Tadeusz Kantor, and they were asking different people to make a piece about or inspired by or a la or an homage. And they asked Liz, actually, I wasn't part of the initial conversations at all. You and Cynthia, Cynthia Hedstrom, our producer. And Liz said, yes, of course, we would love to do this. And she accepted the commission. And then she said, I don't want to do this. How am I going to find my connection to this man who made work after World War II up until the 80s?
That was all about himself.
All about himself. And
but also the political situation, no?
It was...
yeah, but that's about himself in relationship to the political
situation. How he was
situation.
affected by it.
So Liz traveled to Poland. She traveled to Poland and found out that he had a daughter.
Right.
And asked to meet his daughter, Dorota Krakowska, and they got along very well. And it was like just a perfect meeting where she had an unfulfilled desire to make theater and to be in the theater. She loves the theater, but she was never able to somehow get in the room because her father was so big.
Right.
In Poland.
Yeah. In Poland. Mm-hmm. And so basically Liz was like, aha, I remember you came back and you said, I found our way in, and it's his daughter. So she, at the time, I think was like 63 years old, and she came and spent a lot of time with us, and we interviewed her extensively in many different formats. And we transcribed all of the interviews laboriously, pages and pages and pages of them. And some exist only audio recordings or transcribed, and others were video, a couch interview upstairs at our theater that appears in a pink chair. But that's how we began to work on the piece with her leading us through. In relationship to a beautiful film that was made of his second to last piece called I Shall Never Return, where Cantor, for the first time, I remember hearing about Cantor when I first came to New York. He's this wild Polish theater director, was downtown at La Mama.
It's kind of legendary. He was on the stage.
Smokes and he just walks around and moves the performers and it sounded interesting. I could never go because I had a night job, but I remember people talking about it. But in this piece, I Shall Never Return, he actually wrote himself into the show. So he's on stage, and as an artist, all the characters, as a director, a theater director, all the characters from all his old shows are coming by to harangue him, to get what they need from him, to say goodbye to him, to say they love him, to get mad at him, whatever. And so it seemed like just intuitively that I Shall Never Return was the right one for us to work with, because he goes to a miserable and suspicious inn to meet all the specters from his life. And so it was a way that we could accommodate Dorota's desire to, like in a seance, meet her father again. And then for us, we could recycle all our old tables and our old costumes and the props that we love.
And the pink
And a
chair.
lot of
chair.
ideas and
Mhm.
feelings from other pieces. Yeah.
And so I think I was just thinking about this the other night when we were doing the show, like how you were able to make something that could have a really dumb documentary in it, sort of like a vacant, like theater people, like us upstairs at the garage, but then to touch on a really a situation that has the ritual aspect where ghosts could really come, into the space because there's room for it.
Right.
Because we also got very much into Cantor's manifestos and his notion of, actors as mannequins, actors as objects. Objects of the lowest order are the most spiritually imbued. So, of course, a dead person is the closest to a mannequin. And so
Right.
all these ideas were really exciting.
In the film, he's on stage. He seemed quite vulnerable in a way, which is, the characters were kind of coming at him, and in a way, there was this weird thing of control, but also a lack of control.
Well, he was a good actor that way because he was in total control. He wrote every line. He went over everything. He was very much in control. I don't think, for us, we work in a slightly more, more open way because everybody contributes to the writing of the piece and to the making of their characters. I'm definitely a person on the outside who then, that's why I identify with everybody, because I have to find the place for everybody. But he wanted to find the place for himself with these characters exactly as he wanted them. He dressed them himself. They didn't make up their costumes. A lot of our guys make up their own costumes. And then I go, oh, I know what that person wants to do.
Right.
And I kind of follow that track.
Yeah.
So they're giving you clues in a way.
Yes. And then I know where to put them and I work it around. It's more like painting, where you see a certain color and you go, oh, I see where that should go over here. And then it's not the same control.
Right. Well, he's a writer and
a man.
And I would assume made his work starting with the writing. And yes, he had people in his company who were with him for decades. And I'm sure he took a lot from what kind of spiritual types they were. But it's all written, I get the feeling like he choreographed it, and I don't know if there would be enough room for the accident, which is, I feel like something we have a great reverence for, is that we make room for that. We're kind of almost waiting for the divine accident to happen. And we videotape every rehearsal because you just don't know when that thing is going to happen that you wouldn't be able to repeat unless you had a record of it. Also, so what I'm trying to say simply is I think he knew what he wanted. And I feel Liz knows what she doesn't want, but can't always put her finger on what it is exactly that she wants. So we go through a lot of trial and error. And
but you need the structure to find something, right? You have to,
I have to have certain parameters. I know the people that are going to be there. I have an idea of the very early on. I have an idea of the set, the visuals.
Oh, that's where you're the most, I feel like, in control of the architecture of the space, what the space is going to be.
So you think first about the space that people will be in, and then you put them in the space, or
not first? I don't know what comes first. I think what came first here was a combination of seeing him going to Poland and seeing his his studio and his home in the country and breaking into his home in the country because it had walls. So I had to climb over them and break into the house. So I feel like my first thing was I'm going to climb over his walls and break into his house with his daughter.
Oh, you did that with his daughter?
No.
Oh,
But the piece is about that.
right.
Because his daughter had a terrible time with him. It was his first wife, and she's the only daughter he has. But she had no relationship with her father, and I think he didn't have much of a part in her life.
So this was a chance for her to access him in a way.
Yeah, and also she was told whenever she would start to try to do anything in the theater, she was told by the people around him who revered her father so much that she should not get into theater because she could never do anything better than her father. That's a kind of a quote from her to us.
Right.
So I think she had a very hard time figuring out who she was and what she would do. And we kind of found something. In fact, I'm even now, I want to work with her again on a piece in Berlin. I think she really did when she says at the very beginning, and that was a very early time we taped her, when she said, I've come to see if I can find him again.
I meet him one more time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I meet him one more time.
And she dedicates the whole piece to her father.
So that became very important for me, that she was able to climb the wall, jump through, and I would go with her.
So it's deeply subversive and political what we're doing. Don't you see? We are dreaming the myth onwards and rewriting the story.
Yes.
And we're making, like, almost giving the woman in this whole story of the great man.
Right.
Like, that's wonderful the way you put it about breaking the wall or getting over the wall that she couldn't ever get through in her life.
Whenever anyone talks to her, your memories about your father, she says, I have no memories about him.
So it's a blank.
It's there. No, it's in the piece.
Right.
She doesn't have memories. She is living her relationship with him in the piece. So there aren't memories.
So she wasn't really aware of how he was working with the actors and that kind of thing.
Oh, sure. She knew everything. She's very... she's actually an academic. She's working with the Goethe Institute, and she actually writes about theater all over Europe.
And did having a connection with her inform your idea about his work?
I just had to watch it.
Right. Empirical evidence.
Mm.
Right. And he returns to the same archetypes in his piece over and over. There's always a bride, there's always a soldier, there's always a priest, there's always a rabbi. And so he returns to those over and over and over again.
And they're all mixed up in this piece in a way.
Yeah.
Like they're all sort of thrown together.
And they're all wearing
collage-like.
They're all wearing costumes from all of our pieces from the past.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of the elements, visually, the costumes are like Suzy Roach, who plays the bride. The silver suit she's wearing was made by Antonia Belt for our opera La Didone.
Mm-hmm.
And Gareth is wearing the pants from that same opera. And the little green skirt that Gareth has on was made by Elizabeth Jenyon for To You the Birdie. Mm-hmm. And there's so many. The priest's coat is your coat. Most of the coats are Liz's coats.
Oh, is that right?
The shirt I'm wearing as the Ratchet Schlump was made by Claudia Hill, another designer friend of ours. So it's stuff that we've had in our collection that's been in other of our Wooster Group pieces or things that we love and just have.
And Z is wearing a costume from Hamlet.
Right. That Casey Spooner gave us? Or Alessandro? I don't know.
Alessandro,
Yeah.
I think. But in other words, I've seen all of these costumes,
Right.
and they're rearranged in some way that's just private for me. But I think it gives what happens to me is that it doesn't feel costumed in a normal way.
Oh, and some of the costumes I bought in Amsterdam in 1984 at a flea market, those weird sort of Masonic lodge-looking things. And they were all put together by Liz and Enver Trakartesh, our costume designer. But the elements are coming from our whole history, as are the props, right?
Yeah.
What about the idea of taping Z to the chair?
Well, that came around when we were reading a lot about. We had these videos of his rehearsals, and he had a penchant for wrapping things.
Emballage.
Yeah, he
Almost
called
like
it.
Christo or something.
A little bit, but in small ways.
Packages.
Well, he used to do.
Packages.
That's where he started.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was because he was just the man in place of that we should package him.
But we've done that in other pieces.
Right, you've bound people. Right?
We've bound people, and like Mike Stem and Anna Kohler were strapped to the doors in St. Anthony on the big set.
Anna says she still has the bruise from that.
She definitely has the bruise in her ego. There's no question about that. No, that was more because of the particular set. They couldn't open the doors. They were so heavy and on a slant, and they were made out of steel. So they couldn't really open the door. It would have taken them like 10 minutes to get in. So what I would do is strap them on the backside of the door so someone would pull the door open toward the audience, and they would already be there.
Right.
It was pretty fabulous.
Yeah, it was just a way of getting them in faster and lighting them really well against another color on the door.
But it's also with Z and a pink chair, isn't it a way of making him an object?
Yes.
You know,
exactly.
he becomes part of the chair when he's taped to the chair. And also it's, speaking as someone who had her arms bound to her corset for St. Anthony, it's also an incredible limitation to work with physically. It gives you so much when you have a limitation to work against. And it's also a way of wrangling Z, who isn't, I mean, he's a filmmaker and an artist. He's not a performer. So, and it was just a way of dealing with him as a performer too. And also he told us a story where that happened to him at university, where
in Poland,
where some bullies taped him and threw him out a window,
Oh my God.
taped him up and threw him out.
So there's another trauma at work here.
Yes. So for him, he was quite happy to act. He loves it. It's not a problem. He loves it.
I thought he was great in the piece.
He's again, he's a Polish emigre, really.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that? Can you tell that in the piece that he's?
You can tell he's Polish, but
his parents, escaped from
left
Poland.
During martial law.
Martial law, yeah. But it was difficult because they got him out to Sweden
with his grandmother.
Yeah, he lived with his grandmother, and he would go to meet his mother, like, I don't know, once every 3 months or so, something like that. Yeah, a barbed wire fence.
Yeah.
What year was this?
Well, it would have been 84, maybe?
Well,
when was martial?
82. Martial law was in the 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there before that, and it was very hard to get out of Poland if you lived there.
This is the Lech Walesa period, or is it?
No, it's right before Lech Walesa.
Right.
It was before anything was opened. I was there first in 72, and then again in 76. And so it was that time that his parents were. You just couldn't get out of Poland easily. You had to have an immense amount of money to pay people off. So he grew up with his grandmother in Sweden.
And then his father's crazy mathematician and his mother was a plastic surgeon, but they got out and
Yes.
moved to Connecticut
Yes.
and lived on, math teachers.
And they taught at UConn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he spoke Polish because then he went back to school there he actually went to film school in Poland. So he made a reconnection with Poland. That was another thing. That was what was when I would go there with him.
Right.
Yeah, because all his friends, I really got a sense of the Polish underground, so to
Polish
speak.
underground.
Yes.
Oh, and then because of Z, he had worked with Danusia Trevino in
Right.
one of his films here in New York. And she's Polish too. She left Poland and came to New York and had a punk rock band called Fur. And then started performing and worked with Z. And that's how we came to work with Danusia. She's the one who plays the violin.
Oh, right.
And also some of her lines that are from I Shall Never Return, we supplanted with Dorota's texts from our interviews.
Huh.
So in I Shall Never Return, when the characters are waiting for him to come, he's not there, but then he
Right.
comes, and is that really him? And then they get to say, everything they want to say to him. And so we took some of Dorota's things, what she wanted to say about her father's work or about the other performers, and we put it in. So that's another layer.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So
actually.
when Danusia says things like, he's playing here with his position, but in a very perverse way. Now you will see what it'll be like to have no muse. That is what Dorota said to us, and about her father, the other actors, and her father,
Right.
what he's doing at that part of the show. So
he's acting. He's always acting here. He's acting.
Yeah.
Yeah. When she would watch the tapes, she would point out and say, look, here he's acting. He was a terrible actor. She would say, we didn't put that in.
Right.
He's a terrible actor, but he's acting here, acting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she's kind of incorporated.
So when you come back to the show,
Yeah.
pay attention.
Okay.
In part 3, what Danusia says, like when she comments too about the video of the film that was made of I Shall Never Return,
Right.
that's shown on the center monitor, when she was like, now you have a television camera operator that wants to frame everything like TV, but they are not showing, Tadeusz's the emotion. They're not showing Tadeusz's balls.
Yeah.
So she's griping about how her father's piece was framed by the filmmaker.
So she's she's participating in the direction in a way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Don't you think very much she functioned as associate director, assistant
Definitely,
director,
yeah.
dramaturg?
Yes.
Very
everything.
much you often hear what she has. She gives notes to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
The things that
Oh, really?
she can't say to
Yeah.
us directly. She talks to Danusia
Well, I tell her
directly.
because she can talk in Polish to Danusia. So she gives Danusia, yeah. And she also talks to Z because she's better. The Polish people, she gives the notes.
The notes directly to
Yeah.
them.
And that's translated for you? Or
Well,
Yeah.
first she runs it by you, right?
Yeah, yes, but I don't really
You don't
care. I trust her, whatever she wants to say.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, I see it right away and I'll change it. But
And
I
also,
trust her.
she has the connection to the
Yeah.
history of, she's Polish.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're American, yeah.
right.
We, more or less, depending on our age, have a relationship to World War II by television or radio or news or history books, but we weren't in Poland.
Mhm.
I mean, Europeans just have a different relationship to that history.
Was there something about doing poor theater that led to this? I mean, you had that exposure.
Only thing was the fact that they offered us money again, which was amazing after Poor Theater, because when we did a piece, because I had just decided that, I think I decided then that I didn't want to make any more theater pieces, and I can't remember why, but I think it was
9/11?
No, it was about the reception of
To the birdie?
To the Birdie, because people would watch this show, which for me was very close. I was very close to it. And I am to all of them, but I've been close to a lot of the shows, and people, the audiences seemed confused by it, and they thought it was intellectual. And for me, it was extremely emotional. So I thought, I've just lost the touch. I shouldn't be in theater, and I should stop. And then I said, oh, well, maybe I should go back to, early things that had influenced me, like Grotowski, because he didn't influence me in terms of the way he worked exactly with the performers, but he had a company, and he stayed with the performance throughout. He always came to every performance, and something about the way he was working was similar to, I think, what I was attracted to. I didn't know. I wanted to go back there and see.
Because you go to every piece pretty much. I mean, every performance.
Yeah. But somehow I got involved with going through, because there was a beautiful film made of whatever that piece was.
Acropolis.
Thank you, Acropolis. And I had seen Acropolis for real in New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I took that as a starting point to try to figure out what it was. I don't even know. I was thinking about just copying. You know how sometimes if the way I learned to write by just making circles, the Palmer method. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Oh, yes. In the lines, though.
Yeah, in the lines.
Yeah.
And over and over and I would do it on top of really beautiful images of the letters. And I have a really good handwriting now. I learned how to draw that way.
Oh, so you go over the top of the letter.
Yes.
You really do have the best handwriting of anybody I've ever met in English. I mean, I don't know. Other Russian must be pretty badass, or Chinese or Japanese.
Yeah. Well, that's
or
how
Arabic.
But that's how the Chinese and especially the Japanese learn writing. They start very young, copying exactly the figures over and over until they can let them go, and then they make their own.
It's kind of
letters.
like painting, like
in the old days. I
right.
mean, the thing is, I can't say copying because copying is it's a derogatory word in art, and for me, it's like the most important thing ever is to be able to learn by copying,
right.
and then take that to whatever is infuse it with whatever is your particular essence. Yeah.
Well, you see it better, right, when you're copying something.
I don't think so. I don't know what it is. I think it's just a kind of training about form. It's a very simple way of training about form, but it's not considered, we have this idea of where everybody's creative and you're always making something that's absolutely new, and I don't believe there's anything that's new, frankly.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're back. We're back, and we want to know, Peter, how did you, in the exhibition at Carriage Trade, about the Wooster Group, does the show have a name?
The Wooster Group.
Okay, that's appropriate.
With the dates.
With the dates. What are the dates?
Well, it's just been extended to February 16th.
Oh, terrific. So there's still more time.
Yes.
So
that's kind of a plug, I guess.
How did you, because Liz and I had nothing to do with the curation of the show. I mean, I just remember seeing you lurking about upstairs at the theater with Clay, and Clay explained that you'd be going through the trunks, and
I was kind of a specter.
Yes, you were. You were. And so how did you orient yourself?
Well, first of all, I really appreciate your just handing me over the key, kind of, and having me and Clay be able to go through.
There was a key?
Metaphorically. And I had to see almost everything before really knowing what I was going to do. because I'd seen, many of the pieces. And when people asked me what the next show was, I said, it's with the Wooster Group. And they said, oh, what's that going to be? Because there wasn't necessarily an obvious way to take performance-oriented work and put it into an art gallery. And I didn't know what it was going to be originally, but I knew that you couldn't translate the intensity of, the performances and the live action and everything that's going on into the gallery. But I had seen this brilliant Mike Kelly show called The Day Is Done. I don't know if you ever saw that at Gagosian. Did you see it?
I did, yes.
And I realized that, the way that he incorporated moving images with sculpture and with an audience, in other words, it was possible that you can have a dark space but have objects. So at a certain point, I realized I wanted to combine the projection with the objects in the space, so they would have to be lit. And then I was thinking of, lit cases that that would be hang on the wall opposite the projection, and then realized it would be really expensive. So I built a wall with openings and then put all the material in it. And I think, I have enormous respect for what you're doing, and I knew that I couldn't replicate that. Like, I couldn't think of what would you do. I had to do what I was going to do in the space and translate it. And I really appreciate having a free hand to do so, because it became the thing with the props where they, when Clay sent me some pictures of the props, which he'd sent to somebody for another show.
Probably Folkert.
Exactly. And they look great, as it was like, this could be a great sculpture show. But part of the interest in the gallery is I do primarily group shows, and I'm much less interested in this sort of hyper-individualism that is rampant in the art world and the art market. So I'm very much interested in what connects what, like putting work together that ultimately becomes like another thing, like larger than the sum of the parts, so part of my interest in the Wooster Group is that idea of this overall project where the authorship is not that conspicuous. I mean, there's clearly a hand and there's clearly a sensibility, but you're not tracing it even to one actor. I mean, there's a real strong sense of repertory. And so I started to see the props as these kinds of almost anthropological objects that came out of this weird ritual. And the ritual would take place in the projections, and the projections had to be large so that there's a sense of you could kind of be in it. And then these props opposite were elements that came out of that. And sometimes you would see, oh, there's the mask, and there's Spalding's briefcase. But I really like that idea of the kind of aura of the object and its presence, and its fleeting presence in the production. So, that's a way of dealing with that dilemma of something temporal, that you can't capture it. I mean, there's a different aesthetic to theater, obviously, because it's a time-based process.
Yeah, I like how you, the objects in the vitrine all come from all different shows.
Right.
And I felt a little bit out of control
I remember.
when I first saw the wall cases, because they were so out of order, and some of the props weren't actually used in the show, but they still were in the case.
Yeah.
And so they...
Oh, did I make a mistake?
Well, no, it's not a mistake, because we could never take certain beloved objects that got deselected for the show, but we couldn't throw them out or take them away from the show. And a couple of them are featured in the cases, which I thought was really great that they got featured and had a life, because they were somehow important to the whole cosmos of the piece. But I also like how you made a room, because I feel like everything Liz has something to do. I guess, I mean, that's pretty obvious in theater. You're in some kind of room.
Right.
But the way you hung the Venetian blinds and had the lamp, the plant tree lamp in the corner, and which made the whole
A room.
Yeah.
It's architectural.
Yeah.
Right.
You walk in and, there's
made
the
a-
potted plant.
You
Right,
made
right.
a room
It's
out
the
of
lamp.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's always like, what do you do with some article? You make it into a potted plant or a planter. That's in one corner, and then the window is in the other corner.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in a specific room.
Yeah, in a silly way, you use the Venetian blinds and the lamp, the tree lamp,
Right.
and you could have just had the wall cases and the projections of the show, but I like how it was made into a room.
Yeah.
Because the standing lamp that's featured in the room, that standing lamp was in so many pieces with different, sometimes a lampshade,
Right.
sometimes
A red tent.
It was in-
right,
It was in By
sometimes
the
a
Sea,
tent.
right? Was it the same one?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same
It's
one.
the same one.
I think the room was a way to make it immersive,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
and I mean approximate the immersive nature of the theater.
And it
piece,
made
right?
it made it human and warmer, not like a cold thing. That a lot. The Venetian blinds, because they were in also a number of shows too, right?
Well, not those exact ones because
Weren't those in LSD?
No, those were ones that
Those are bigger
Ken and
ones, I think.
Yeah, Ken and I got for the film.
The Flaubert,
Flaubert
Dreams
Dreams
of
of Travel
Travel.
film.
right?
So it had to be smaller because the windows in that room. Do you remember that room?
The hotel room.
Yeah.
But it's a really strong film noir reference, right? Which
Totally.
I like. That's
Yeah.
what I was after, and with the lighting on the blinds.
Yeah.
And also, you didn't have any sort of chronology in the first room where it's all the
Right.
latrines where there's more scripts and photographs and things. It's all mixed up too, and it's they have a different relationship than something more like something that would have more respect to chronology or everything about this piece, or it was they were all in conversation with each other.
Well, I think that in some ways is, maybe an overlap in terms of what you're doing, this idea of making the past present, right? Or like taking like Spalding's letter, it's there and it feels enormously present. Like it doesn't, the way that you're working with historical things, like Since I Can Remember, and bring them into the present. In a way, I was thinking of that with the show, and in a way, what I do with the gallery is the notion of the archive as constantly in play, so that you're not there's no hierarchy.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what that's what I appreciated.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like, oh my God, that's that was done in this time or that time. So it was out of time for me, and that made it new. I really didn't know how to approach it. Really, I came in almost like I didn't recognize the articles, and so each one of them were like new for me. When I saw that tube that became the
Says he uses
Yeah,
a
that's great.
steering
Yeah.
wheel.
I mean, I picked that up off the floor for us to use, but taking it in that way, I just looked at it as, a wild piece of tubing
Right.
because I didn't associate it with anything. So everything was new. for
Well,
me.
I mean, that's an example of something that's inert and then becomes alive and activated by how you use it.
And
'cause it
that's
turned
very
into
Cantor, like
Yeah.
that
Right.
object of the lowest order, something you just picked up off the floor,
Yes.
and now it's in your gallery in a case.
That's what was good about the Kelly show. I think you got
Right.
a lot from that.
Oh yeah,
Because,
absolutely.
it wasn't that serious thing. It had all these oddities that weren't exactly when they were out of their place in his piece of art or his time. Anytime you took them out and put them separately, they were like unhinged.
Right.
unhinged, but in a great way. It's
Well-
almost like to show how, in some ways, that you make these worlds so simply, as an artist. You just really can take almost anything. And if you have some idea of a spiritual life in the object,
Right.
once you touch it, it can become anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's context is a boring word, but
Yeah.
it's kind
Yes. So let's just
But-
beat that up.
But actually, when I look back, I was showing one of my assistants because I told her about the Kelly show and how it was an inspiration. We were looking at it, and then I realized the whole conceit with the yearbook, where he'd taken pictures from the yearbook and reconstructed them, in these little vignettes. It had a lot to do with what you're doing in a way. No,
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things in that show.
the yearbook thing.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
I didn't see it.
Oh.
I feel terrible.
No, don't. It'll be back in some way.
But
Don't you
he's
think?
gone.
He's gone, yes.
Hopefully
but-
it'll be back. And speaking of back, I think we're almost out of time. Does anybody have anything else to add?
No, I can never initiate an idea. You would have to do it.
No, I just want to
I
say
wait for somebody
thank
to
you
tell me what
so
to do.
much,
Oh,
Peter.
say that again, clear, without my voice.
I just want to
please.
say thank you so much, Peter, for doing the show and for bringing us here to e-flux. We love e-flux.
Yes.
And we want to get on your mailing list.
Please.
And
Well,
talk to
thank
you
you
soon.
for allowing me to work with the material. It's been a thrill.